Hi there, my name's Simon from CramTheExam.com and welcome to another walkthrough video where I take an English exam question, break it down, explaining why I think the answers are the answers, and of course telling you what the answers are, so you can help develop your reading skills, compare your answers with my answers, and if you went wrong, then hopefully by watching my video you can find out why the correct answer is the correct answer and learn from that mistake, pick up some vocabulary skills, pick up some hints, tips, things like that in order to help you be in a better position before you do your exam, before you do your English exam. In this video, I'm going to be concentrating on the CAE Use of English Part 8 question, which is the last reading question, multiple matching reading question, and you'll find this question on the excellent website examenglish.com. You'll find a link to both this question and the website examenglish.com in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. That website is full of fantastic resources, not just for the CAE but for the FCE and other English exams as well. Okie dokie, so part 8 is multiple matching. You've got quite a lot of information going on. You're going to have 10 questions and you can have anywhere from 4 bits of writing to about 7, I think, or maybe even more. I can't remember now the exact details, but you could have to deal with lots and lots of information. So quick reading skills, being able to identify, summarize, and identify vocabulary, what you think are key pieces of vocabulary, be able to summarize texts into general ideas, and then to cross-analyze that language, comparing the text in the writing with the answer. And we're looking for, in this question, we're looking for clear vocabulary links. Not much in the way of context here, just clear vocabulary links, and hopefully you'll be able to see this as I go through the answers, explaining why the answers are the answers. This is one of the questions that you should be getting done in around about 14 to 15 minutes if you can, if you practice hard enough. You've got 16 or 17 minutes to do this question if you break down the time in the exam equally, but ideally this is one that you want to do just a little bit faster if you can. The good news is that it is multiple choice, so if you don't know, if you can't find that vocabulary link, through being able to summarize the text, you might be able to make an educated guess as to which one is the correct answer, but of course the key thing really is to identify that vocabulary. So let's get started. For question number 1, it says, which writer believes oil will be available for many more years? The answer is C. So let's find that vocabulary. It says here, with continued, where is it now? But here we go. However, I do not believe that the world is running out of energy. Fossil fuels will be able to meet growing demand for a long time in the future. Long time in the future links to many more years. Fossil fuels is, of course, is a group noun of something that oil is, or rather, oil belongs to the group of fossil fuels. Maybe that was a bit easier to understand. And so that's our vocabulary link there. And meet growing demand, of course, is the vocabulary link for will be available. So that gives us our vocabulary link there. Now, this was a tricky start because if we zoom up to A nice and quickly, it says here, if this is the case, our planet could ooze oil forever. So you might think, why is the answer C and not A? Well, it's because in A it says there is a theory that says something, and if this is the case, our planet could ooze oil forever. So it's this writer, Howard Bloom, doesn't say this. What he's doing is he's referring to something else which says this, whereas in C it very, very clearly says, I do not believe the world is running out of energy. Fossil fuels will be able to meet growing demand for a long time in the future. So number 1 is C because it's what the author of the article, what the writer thinks. and in A, it is the writer referring to something else and saying if this is true. So it's a conditional sentence. So it's a tricky question straight away at the beginning. So just make sure you're analysing the text carefully. Number 2, believes that from now on less oil is available. So let's go to B and find that vocabulary here. However, since 2005, oil supply has been in decline. So he's telling us there from 2005. Now, obviously, we're in 2019 now, so your understanding of now might be, let's say, questionable. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this question was written at some point in the past. So therefore, this is our answer: has been in decline. And of course, if something is in decline, it means that less of it is available. And of course, this is what the writer thinks. In this case, believes. For number 3, believes there are ways to obtain energy that we have not yet discovered, and that we can find in A. So we can see that here, and we can set this the answer up here. And even if we stay earthbound, those who say we have raped the planet of all its resources are wrong. There's a huge stock of raw materials which we haven't yet learned to use. So, in other words, we don't know it's there. We haven't discovered it yet, which links to this. And of course, this raping the planet of its resources refers to the discussion about energy, and of course that refers to the beginning of the question, that there are ways to obtain energies that we have not yet discovered. So there are clear vocabulary links there. For question number 4, it's which writer sees a great potential in natural fuels? That is, hang on a second, let me scroll that down. That is also A. Where it says, I believe the most promising alternative fuels are biofuels, such as ethanol. So biofuels are a form of natural fuels, most promising alternative forms, great potential. So vocabulary links there. For question number 5, believes the fuel crisis will cause the poor to become poorer. That's in B, so let's find that, and we can find that right at the end, where in the context of this discussion about energy and its relationship with economy, which is what B is talking about, this last sentence gives us our answer. One person's increased wealth can only come at the expense of another person's worsened poverty. So another person's worsened poverty links to the poor becoming poorer. And of course, the general discussion as regards B is talking about fuel crisis and economic crisis being linked together. And we can see that in the next sentence, which writer sees energy and the economy as intrinsically linked? Well, let's shoot up the page to the beginning of B, where it says, so the most fundamental definition of money is as a mechanism to allow the exchange and allocation of different forms of energy. So money and energy, because of this definition, according to this writer, are intrinsically linked, and he makes that point further on throughout the article. For 7, it says, which writer believes we should reduce our dependence on oil immediately? This is D. Well, there's two vocabulary links to being immediate. First of all, if we don't kick oil now. So now means immediately. And then lastly, there is a long way to go, but actions we take now to kick our oil addiction can help us adapt to a world of shrinking oil supplies. So there's two references in this article to something happening now. In other words, something which is immediate, and of course reducing our oil as well, our dependence on oil as well. For question number 8, we've got which writer believes that people need to be attracted to working in the energy industry? This is in C, and we can see that here. So it is essential to encourage young people to take up a technical career in the energy industry. Encourage people would link to attract. Take up a technical career would be attracted to working too in the energy industry, with clear vocabulary link there. Number 9, which writer believes that it's unlikely that governments will invest a lot of money into alternative energy? We can see that in B. I was going in the wrong direction there for a second. And it says here, however, this is very unlikely to happen in democratic nations because it would require huge voluntary reductions in living standards. And that's why governments, in other words, democratic nations, will not invest a lot of money, unlikely to invest a lot of money, because it will reduce living standards. And of course, one thing that the governments don't want to do is generally reduce living standards, because then they'll start losing elections. But that point aside, we've got clear vocabulary links between the question and the text in B. And for number 10, which writer believes that future oil recovery will lead to more environmental disasters? This is in D. And we can see that here. The conversation begins with the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, but then goes on to say, let me just highlight that properly. If we don't kick oil now, we will see more disasters as oil companies move to the Arctic offshore and clear more forests. Then it goes on to say the price we will pay is not just in dollars, but in the biological systems that sustain life on this planet. So this is a general way of saying that there's going to be a lot more environmental disasters. There's a link to the question, if we keep on looking for oil and recovering that oil. So there's vocabulary links there. And I know I flew through that quite quickly, but that's why I think the answers are the answers. Let me know what you think. If you agree with me or disagree with me, leave a comment below. If you've got any questions at all about this exercise or about my website, CramTheExam.com, then please leave a comment below and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. Okay, I'll see you again soon with another English exam walkthrough video. And as I said, if you want to know, if you've got any questions at all, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. So, in any case, I'll see you again soon.